In every system, there's a signal, a pulse, a spark that cuts through the noise. Some call it innovation. Some call it disruption. We call it the protocol. Welcome to the grid, where ideas illuminate, where technology bends and reshapes the world around us, and where the future isn't predicted. It's engineered. Here, we decode the frameworks behind extended reality, AI, and spatial computing. We trace the lines between creativity and code, between human intention and digital possibility. This is where builders, thinkers, and explorers step out of the shadows and into the neon to share the systems, the stories, and the sparks that shape tomorrow's tech. So plug in, power up, and follow the signal. This is Neon Protocol.
All right, welcome to this week's episode of Neon Protocol. With myself, I'm also joined with Mark, Mike, and Damon from the Neon Protocol team. And we also have this week's guest, which is Dan Meeks. So Dan, rather than me do a very poor job of butchering an introduction to you, I will let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping there was going to be a read of that ChatGPT generated one, because I was going to say, like, man, walls are just like a social construct, man.
Social contrast.
It's like the patriarchy holding things up, man.
It did have a very 1960s anti-establishment.
It was pretty cool, though. And so, like, I was joking on the email train. It's like, dude, the people that I've written quotes to that are kind of like ghosting me, I should like send them like, well, someone thinks I'm cool.
For the audience, I mean, do you want to go ahead and read it?
You know what? Just to show how silly ChatGPT is, go ahead. It'll be plenty of context.
Today on Neon Protocol, we're joined by a man who has spent so much time in XR that I am not entirely convinced he still believes in walls. He is a WebXR pioneer, an interoperability crusader, blah, 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 say that a few times, and possibly the only developer alive who's built military-grade simulators and browser-based experiences where you can fly a tiny airplane over your cat, all with equal seriousness. He's taken lessons from training Navy personnel and applied them to the open web, which feels like the natural career progression for someone who wakes up every day and chooses chaos in JavaScript. He is the kind of developer who looks at a closed XR platform and says, no thanks, I'll build my own universe in the browser. Now, a man who can debug WebXR faster than most of us can remember which controller button does what? The myth, the legend, the reason your GPU is sweating. Daniel Meeks is here, live on Neon Protocol, and we are diving headfirst into the open XR
Lord,
frontier.
that is just so funny. I read that and I got a kick out of it, man. That's great. Yeah.
I'll tell you, AI is like the greatest hype man ever.
Yeah, totally. Totally, man. Well, so yeah, Dan Meeks, I started up Defiant XR almost 2 years ago. I worked for a company worked with, because I was an independent consultant, long story, but worked with them for 14 years called Battlespace Simulations. And it was a scrappy little, group of dudes that basically got into the simulation industry and did a lot of stuff that these really big companies just couldn't pull off. And man, it was a great wild ride with them and doing some really innovative stuff. But after 14 years, I was sure burnt out. Living out of a suitcase 2 weeks out of every month. I was like, hey, I got a bucket list of things that I want to knock out. So I started my own company, and with a focus on XR, because XR was like the thing that I wanted to do with Battlespace Simulations so much. And they're like, yeah, well, we need to get you on a plane and train these guys how to run their simulator. it has nothing to do with XR. And I'm like, ah. So yeah,
It is a
the
cool name,
Defiant
though.
XR is really wrapping in a whole lot of my experience with Janus VR, which is one of the big things that happened after the Oculus Renaissance. Um, was trying to bring the immersive web into VR. And throughout my journey with battlespace simulations, I was like, I really want to be able to use this immersive web technology. And now that I started my own company, as of this year, I finally got it. So I'm seeing simulation data that comes from Mace, the flagship product from Battlespace Simulations, either on my phone or in my headset, just using the browser. So yeah, big bucket list checked off right there, and I was just stoked about it. So,
I don't know where to go from there. That's so. I mean,
That's
I
awesome,
know.
show
man.
over.
Well,
You know?
no, I was, I
Yeah.
was, I was thinking today, like maybe I should tell the story of how I got involved with WebXR because it's kind of cool.
No, absolutely, and especially with, you hear XR, um, kind of on the decline, so how you got into it and how you found a way to continue its growth over the past 2 years that you've been running Defiant.
hmm well, when I just talking about XR specifically, but I want to talk about the WebXR piece a little bit later. But my first real experience with, well, my first experience period with VR was when I was in the Air Force, and I was awaiting flight training. So they call it casual duty. So you or casual status. They kind of you're like a temp worker. They punch you to an Air Force base until your time to go to flight school is there. And so I got to ride in the back of F-16s, which is pretty cool. You get newly minted sec lieutenant, and you get attached to an F-16 squadron. And I got 9 flights in the F-16. So
Wow.
my first experience was the parachute trainer, and it was crappy technology, but it was perfect. They put you in a harness and you wear these really crappy goggles. They're probably like 240p, and but it was the perfect modality because the whole idea was that as you're descending, you're looking at the horses, and the horses face into the wind. Cows, they'll smell their own farts, but horses, they're they're noble creatures. They're going to point their noses into the wind, into the wind typically. Um, and so you're looking for all these cues to steer your parachute as you're getting ready to do your parachute landing fall. So that was my first experience with it, and I was hooked just from that little 15-minute training that I did.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then
and
when
to
I
be
deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, uh, I bought like the old uh, Olympus iTrex and also the Vuzix
Yep.
AV920s and plugged those into my PlayStation 2. So, you know, I was basically lying in my bunk, playing Xenosaga with glasses on. Um, Everybody thought I was a crazy nerd, but at the same time, they're like, "That's kind of cool."
Yeah.
uh, you know, so and this is like early 2000s, that I'm doing this. So I'm doing XR when XR really wasn't all that cool.
It
Uh,
wasn't fashionable. Yeah.
no, not
Yeah.
fashionable
no.
at all, and also kind of hurt your eyes a little bit.
And not very practical. That because I still remember going back to the sensor setup. It's like, all right, I've got 18 sensors. I've got to figure out some way to put them in my room. I have enough trouble trying to point a satellite at the satellite dish at the right satellite. Now I got to do these sensors.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but the PS2 sitting in the middle of I guess it was probably a cargo container with plywood as walls and a bunk with what 3-4 other guys. That's some pretty slick escapism right there.
Oh, it was. Yeah.
Considering what world you were in being deployed at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a bikini volleyball game that I loved, man. It was great. That was a way to get through a deployment. Is to see some beautiful anime women, and It's how you get by.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm actually going in a completely different direction with it. That for guys that miss their families, I oftentimes think of the guys that are the family members that are deployed while they have a birth of a child.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Imagine, I remember a couple years back when Zuckerberg, showed that, the Presence app, where you can be in the same room with the same person, and imagine being able to be deployed, but just for that few minutes to be back.
Be together. Yeah.
Now, on one deployment when I was at Bagram, I did manage to do something like this. So there was a product called the Rovio, um, which was this three-wheeled robot that you can drive around your house. And I was at Bagram where you can actually get internet access. So I bought an internet plan that went to my it was one of my later deployments. So I actually I actually got to live in a real building. That was kind of nice. Um, so what was cool is that I got to be home for Thanksgiving. Um, and there's a hilarious picture of the Rovio up on the table as they're getting Thanksgiving together, and I'm kind of hanging out. And then I'm driving around the house, checking on everybody. It was really cool. So I got a taste of that telepresence, and that was 15 something years ago. Just imagine what you can do now with the technology.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most
Absolutely,
awesome things that you can do.
like I've actually over just right before we joined this, so I'm one of those people that is being extremely tickled by all the Europeans discovering Americana culture. You know, I
Buc-ee's.
am.
Keys,
Oh,
that's right.
you gotta understand, I live in the Midwest. This is my backyard, and I am absolutely thriving on it. Like they're walking down through like like just little suburban streets, and they're like, "Look at all the trucks and the fire pits and the this." And I'm sitting here thinking that just taking Google Maps into a 360 environment could expose people to this type of thing. That if we've had this technology for years, it's such a simple use case because how often are people going to be able to make this trip again? And how many people it just turned into a one-time trip? And I gotta admit, if I could be in VR in Boston right now, I wouldn't be even on this call. I would
Well, they
be
ran out
there.
of beer, Gene. They drank all the beer, is what I
I
heard.
know.
So
Yeah.
I heard.
Damn
Absolutely,
Scotsman.
his abs. It's so beautiful to
you don't want to be
watch.
there.
But how could we? And that's what I think about is how could XR capture onto that feeling? Anyways, but yeah, guy going to from where you were going.
Well, yeah, and I just want to mention Google Earth VR is one of those practical apps that I use because I know spatial is a magic word, but I am very much a spatial thinker. That's another reason why I'm in XR. Ideas for me have a place, and I actually look at that place when I'm trying to get that idea.
Interesting.
So I would use Google Earth VR to kind of get the lay of the land, especially if I was going to Europe, where everything's kind of crunched down in certain city centers. And I would be like, okay, the church tower is there, my hotel is here, so I don't have to be the dumb tourist on the street corner looking at his phone, which is going to get ripped out of my hands. I could be like, hey, I already kind of understand where everything is loosely. And it's not like I needed to spend half an hour in Google Earth VR. It was like a 5-minute session just to kind of get my bearings. And then I go back to packing my clothes for the trip. So yeah, I would use that.
Absolutely, I've
it's good
used it for
use.
meditation. In all honesty, there's a pier in Seattle right by whatever I can't remember that really popular hotel the Beatles stayed at and everything.
Edgewater.
That's
That
it. And so, but there's a pier right off to the side of it that is I just think it's a beautiful place. And so when Google VR first came out, I would find myself just spending time there. Now, it would be better if there was actual motion so you could actually see everything move and actually enjoy it, but it still gives that kind of presence of escape.
I mean, you wonder if with all of these, glasses and the tech shrinking, are we going to have a situation where if you want to go to a place, if people that are open in a public open network are kind of stitching together live reality? I mean, are we going to get to that place where if Gene wants to be on that pier, he can be there?
He
I mean,
can walk
that would be
along.
No,
cool.
I I think so. I mean, like I often now take that, and this is where I'm gonna go to pop culture. But the whole Valerian, if you remember the movie Valerian, that
Mhm.
shopping mall they did. Imagine where you could go to a VR court. It's just an open field. You put the glasses on, you walk through the portal, and all of a sudden you're walking down Main Street of Rome.
Well, you're touching on something. I mean, it's going to be a little science fiction, but it kind of isn't. There's stuff in the military. Well, there was stuff like Gorgon Stare. I don't know if that's exactly the same thing, but there's this concept of sensor fusion. It's one of the reasons why the F-35 is so dang expensive. It's not because of the aircraft; it's because of the guts inside the aircraft. And what it does is it takes all the data that's coming across the battle space and bringing it together in a cohesive way that the human can grok really easily. So as you're raising that, I was thinking, well, what if everybody's filming an event because everybody whips out their damn phones and points instead of just looking with their eyeballs? But I'm not going to get on that high horse right now. But everybody does whip out their phones and stare, and it's like, oh, great. Well, now we have 300 of the same view of something, but now you have it from different frusta. Well, why not just pull all that data and synthesize it into one 3D, volumetric video?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
And
mean,
if
it's
you have
basically the
phones and
same premise
glasses
as
and all
LiDAR.
of that
Yep.
data, yeah.
Yeah.
All of it. Yep.
Yeah, 300 different points of view, and then you
and
have this amazing
ambient
model.
noise that comes with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just
it's
not the
not
video,
it's
but
not
also
like
the audio.
it's not like we're facing privacy issues with this topic at all.
No, not at all. No.
Well, notice I said the key thing, which is you whip out your phone as opposed to you need
Your
this
meta
thing
glasses.
in order to see. I don't know if we want to go there yet, but
Mark, you just dropped into the chat. Intel Sense was based on this
Yeah,
premise?
actually,
I don't remember Intel Sense.
So
Believe
a
it or not.
while back, probably circa 2016, Intel,
Okay.
because I was part of entertainment back then, Intel was actually looking at IntelliSense, where what it is really sort of early on sort of phototelemetry for broadcast.
Mhm.
And
this
the
was
idea
for
of
basketball specifically, right?
basketball, NFL, and Major League Baseball. So
That's starting to ring a bell.
So yeah, no, and it's along the same premise of they had these fancy server racks, on site, of course, but they started running into the concept of, well, if we integrate certain APIs into apps for the event, we could utilize, to Dan's point, multiple device input, right?
Mhm.
And in the end, I think what shot it down was device privacy, right? That, and I think when people were running the app, they realized all of a sudden, hey, normally my phone goes for 4 hours. Why is it going for 45 minutes? Tomato, right?
Yeah. I mean, at some point in the future, people are going to be more than willing to, take a little bit of incentive or make some money by making their device available to record this stuff. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, as long as they know what they're getting into.
Yep.
Yeah,
Which,
Yeah.
I've
know,
They
seen
won't
it.
know.
I've seen the last year in the sort of club sports, area now. You see certain, like, I think it's Snap TV or something like that, Baller TV or something like that, where they went from having the equipment at events to now what they'll do is they'll get you to subscribe to their app. And when you subscribe to their app, they're all of a sudden giving you this like internet ready camera that you can plug into your phone. And now your phone's just a router and they have this camera doing all the fun,
You're part
parenting
of the
stuff,
production crew.
right?
Mhm.
Exactly. And you basically become a public stream, right, to record your child in their sport. Meanwhile, they get access to it. So yeah.
Huh.
No,
It's
I've
done big
often
business.
and I've often thought that if somebody could probably actually even do a subscription, kind of a subscription coin-based service. And what I mean by that is you have a database of content that you've built to start your application or your business or whatever. So like YouTube. And when you join, you could either pay $3 for the content and, or like $3 a month for a stream of content. But if you want access to more videos, every time you submit one, you get so many tokens to now buy more content. So in other words, it's not financial, it's a content builder. If you want to absorb new content, you have to actually submit content yourself. And so now you get this kind of community building it out of a voluntary thing.
Well, that definitely makes it less of just a consumer,
Yeah. But
because when you really look at it, when you like just look at the word consumer, it's like, you know, we're human beings. We're so much more than this.
yeah, and I also look at it as community because one of the things that I think I've loved about XR more than anything has been the community of it. We're kind of the third generation hackers, for lack of a better analogy. And just that, we see the world differently. We approach the world and being able to have conversations like that and that communities. And if we could find a way to bottle it and share it with the world of this is why this technology is so cool. And then it gets away from a consumer. We're not trying to sell you a product. We really are trying to sell you an idea.
Interesting. Wow, we
Yeah,
came
well,
Sorry, I
far
went deep and
afield.
no,
philosophical.
Yeah, I know. We
this
started
is a
out
good
with
thing.
Dan's
So,
history, and then
Sorry, Dan.
well,
we
well,
totally
I know,
hijacked your talk.
you guys do a bit of investing on here. So something that's been bugging me, and this is something especially that I've been getting feedback from on the government side, when they talk to vendors, is that they are tired of being sold ecosystems. And in fact, one government guy said something that was brilliant, and I love it. It's like, "Before I hire you for the contract, I need to figure out how I can fire you and replace you." Which sounds cruel, but as a patriot, I love that.
I think
It's
well,
But
just
what it's saying is like, "Hey, I need to know that I'm not gonna get vendor locked with you and stuck with you, and dudes are gonna die because I can't get your broken stuff out of the way so I can get something that works."
yeah,
it's
And I think it's
modular.
brilliant putting it that way.
Yeah, everything's got it goes back to the whole idea of plug and play that I think we've forgotten about. If I want to be able to pull one piece out and replace it with something else, that everything should be kind of that modular approach, almost the anti-copilot.
Yeah. Let's segue a little bit into a story I got about OpenXR. 'Cause
Oh, yeah, go
this is
for it.
really cool.
Yeah, this
So,
full circle. This brings us back, complete
yeah,
full
yeah.
circle.
So, well, still need to talk about WebXR because that's a cool origin story. But, OpenXR, this is what's really cool. So at, the simulation industry has one really big conference. It's the only one I can really afford to go to because there's like one to damn a month. I don't know how some of these companies can afford it. But the big one is ITSIC at the end of the year. It's in Orlando, and it's huge. It's an international show, and it's
always
mostly
wanted to go.
military, but
Yeah,
it's also, medical
a lot of
and other type of
enterprise, a
educational
lot of
stuff.
enterprise. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's great. Like, if you have one show to go to, I know everyone's at AWE right now, but if you got one show to get into the immersive technology all the way across the board, ITSIC is the one. So one year at ITSIC, the Lynx guys were there. So I don't know if you guys remember the Lynx, the French company that was making a very open headset.
Yes.
Um,
Ho, ho, ho.
well, I was a big fan of them because everything that they were doing, they were like making it to standards. They did not want your data. Like, they were doing everything right. Like, if I started my own XR company to make hardware, which, wow, you got to be brave to do that, man. And, and I used to get shot at.
That is Dan
You own
Meeks,
your own
ladies and
company, you
gentlemen.
still get shot at, just not in
Oh,
the same
yeah.
way.
That is Dan Meeks to me, lady.
The legend.
So the Lynx guys were there, and one of the guys had pre-ordered his. I pre-ordered mine as well. But they made a deal where, like, hey, instead of us shipping your headset, can you just take one of our demo headsets? And so he was like, yeah, sure. And they're like, okay, well, we'll check you off the list as delivered. And so he brings that back to the booth, the BSI booth, and it instantly works with our product. No integration. Well, there was only one thing that we had to do, which was when we did augmented reality, we had to switch the green screen to black, which, we brought it back to their booth. They just changed the color and then flashed the firmware, and then we were good to go. But in full VR, it worked right off the bat.
I can't
Amazing.
believe that.
That's what
I've never
OpenXR
heard,
is
I've never
supposed to
heard a
do.
story like that.
Pretty
Yeah. Have you ever
Dang.
heard of an XR headset that just shows up and you plug the software in and then just freaking works?
We talked
That's the
about this a
dream,
few
man.
episodes ago. That is the dream, right? That's
Yeah.
the ultimate product onboarding. It does something you want or need or both, and you just put it on and it works, period.
Because back like 10 years ago, before the DK1 was a thing, whenever we worked with any image generator company, they would have to write a special plugin to support the hardware. So they would need a dev kit, and then get access to the SDK and then wrap the SDK into their code and then test it and make sure that it didn't catch on fire. But now you get OpenXR, and if you're writing to the standard and they're writing to the standard, the damn thing should work. Amen.
No,
Amen.
there's a company out of Australia called 3D VR Solutions. I've worked with them for years, and why was because the convenience. Their software didn't even require install. It was a folder. You just copied it over to your system, and what it did is it read files from your main authoring software. So it was just basically reading what was already there, your data, and instead of needing to build anything, since we had XYZ dimensions, it just built all the models on the fly, but it required the big thing was it required no security protocol for an enterprise to have to adhere to. And no install, so it didn't push any IT flags. It was just a really simple solution. And I think sometimes with a lot of our eagerness to reinvent the world, we forget the easiest solution is sometimes the best.
You're right there. And if I can plug my product for just 10 seconds.
You can plug it, Dan. You can plug your product. We have another 35 minutes. Go for it.
Cool. Well, so one of my bugbears, and it's too bad that Mark is restarting his computer, but Mark has talked about his dealings with OSHA and other regulatory bits that try to just ruin the party. Well, in the military, it's ridiculous. Like half of the people don't even know what the rules are. It's almost like, some bishop once upon a time told them, this is the sacrament and how you do it, and nobody can actually point to a damn rule, or regulation or law. They just
Except
say,
for
nope,
the
that's how
E4
we've been doing
barracks
it for
lawyer.
10 years here. And it's like, really? Anyway, so when I started working on my product, I'm like, well, how can I get this into the hands of the people that provide training? So we got plenty of products that are out there that are, focused on the warrior and making certain that they are the sharpest they can be before they go in combat. Awesome. I played a big part of that. When I went to all these squadrons, I was like, the guys that are actually running this simulator, they don't really have the best tools. And so I figured maybe I can start kind of poking on that. And the way that I figured out how to go about this is to leverage web standards. Because Mace, that flagship software that I was talking about, it's already been cleared for all these simulators to be installed. My product is just merely content that goes inside Mace. So instead of me selling a brand new software suite that's got to get vetted and cleared and all that stuff, well, you can just scan my JavaScript for any security problems, and it runs on a LAN. It doesn't reach out to the internet or anything. It's just local host internet. And I've made an entire product based off of that concept, just so I can get in the door easier. And it goes back to what you were saying. It works within the enterprise, and it sounds a lot like web standards, where it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's built to the standards, it'll run. So, yeah,
That's a good story. That's a good plug.
Absolutely.
You really do choose Java Chaos.
JavaScript chaos, yeah. Where like you have a variable and it could either be a string, a number, or an integer, or it could be all three at once.
You get all metaphysical on us.
When I heard about truthiness, the concept of truthiness. Now, granted, I had some philosophy training and in education, and I've never heard the term truthiness. But once I looked into it, I was like, yeah, some things are true and some things are even more true. And that's how it works with JavaScript. So you have to
It's a good point
say,
though, Dan, right? I mean, how many companies have died trying to get there and move that mountain, but you knew that space so well, the fastest path was to work within, that those defined standards and get yourself in the room. And now,
well, thanks,
you'll
but
have an opportunity
it's
to
not
keep
exactly
going.
like
So
my
that's great.
product's flying off the racks, but you know,
Keep
there's other
pushing.
things like, I got government guys that are saying, yeah, we want to definitely buy your product. And then the prime contractor's like, well, we have to do a change management schedule and we need to review. And it's like, oh, good God. I I built this whole thing so it's easy for you to just drop into Mace, and you are still making this difficult by pure bureaucracy. So I don't know. With the whole Department of War changing stuff, I totally get where a lot of the frustration is of just bulldozing a lot of this crap out of the way and saying, no, we're fixing how we're going to do acquisitions. This is too archaic. And unfortunately, where I'm at, the bulldozer hasn't blown through. And I hope it'll happen soon.
Mike is right. I mean, that's a real strengths-based approach to take to fit the envelope. There's an envelope there, you just fit it.
Mhm.
Regardless of everything else that's getting in the way. Kudos to you, man. I think that's great.
Yeah, well, the guy that started Battle Space Simulations, I watched him as he went through his journey. When he was starting out small, things were kind of rough, and it was just fingernails trying to get in, and then it got better and better and better. The dude never spent really any money on advertising. It was all word of mouth. So it's just guys talking to each other in the sim world that started, to kind of snowball and get bigger and bigger. And the product got better and better. So I'm hoping the same thing's going to happen with me. So I
Yeah.
I think I got a good start. So we'll see
You're
what
able to
happens
buy
next
your own
week.
groceries, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's still money
Okay.
in the
Yeah,
bank, and
Yeah.
I'm still solvent. So,
Yeah.
um, but
There you
could
go.
could it be better? Like, you know, I want to really start doing some local AI stuff, and it's not really quite in the budget right now. So we'll see.
Well,
Yeah.
since we're in the OpenXR space and Java and your business, don't reveal anything that you can't say in public. But look down the road at about 5 years. What do you think the VR experience will be? The one that people are going to be using every day that sort of feels impossible right now.
It's going to look more like Valve Frame. I think the people that have the time to be in VR, which is mostly students, and maybe older guys, more my age and a little bit older, they don't want to play this meta game. They don't want to get spied on. They don't want AI looking around the room. They just want to play their video games. I cannot wait for the Steam Frame to come out because I'm going to install another operating system on it right away because it's something I bought and I own, not something that I've leased from Meta, that does updates whenever they damn feel like it. Usually right before you want to play a game, right? I think, Mark, you complained about that once. That you sat down and you finally had time to play a game and the damn thing was like, nope,
Yeah, when you're a busy guy, come on, I don't need a firmware update to change the battery or something,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I got a feeling that people are going to start pushing back against being sold ecosystems, and they just want to own what they bought. And they want to update it when they want to update it. And I think Valve really got that on the pulse, which is, hey, we're selling you something and you own it and you get to flash it with different firmware. Um, like I actually like the fact that it has black and white cameras so that it can't see any detail in my room. It can't read anything on the walls and figure out what to sell me. Like it's like
Yeah, it
its
doesn't
only
need to.
purpose is to make sure I don't step on a cat. That's it. So I think the problem that I see though in the next 5 years is that I think people want a huge ROI, so they try to sell the ecosystems. And we could probably talk today about the specs that came out, and all the stuff that comes with that. I think in order to get the capital to keep going, they sell a big, big picture, a big cell saying, we're going to capture all these people into our environment and we're going to delight our customers. I love that word. We're going to delight our customers with their virtual experience. And they're not going to be able to live without us. And we're going to keep on enshittifying and enshittifying, until we can get as much as we can out of our customers. And I think that's the only way some things get greenlit right now. So I got a feeling that all those things are going to putter, and then people are like, dude, I just want to play my video games. And they're going to go for a Valve frame, or they're going to go for an open source headset. I've been looking on Discord. There's one cat that is making his own. These things are now commodities where you can buy the tech, and if you got a 3D printer, you can make your own. And yeah, is it going to be a little uncomfortable? Sure, but you can keep adding foam until it's right. Anyway, that's the trend. Like this whole, we're going to be spatial with everything. We're just going to be walking surveillance cameras. No, not where I live. Maybe in the big cities, that's fine. But where I live here, you don't point a camera at somebody unless you want to fight them. Like that's not how we do things here. You come walking up to somebody holding your phone, you're reaching behind your back, That's how it works in my part of America. So I don't see I don't see what they're selling coming to fruition. I see something very different. Was that coherent? I think it was. It's a bit of a rant.
I think it was very Dan Meeks. So to synapse to the non-Meek, what you're really talking about is we all want a platform, right? But we don't want that closed ecosystem. We want a real solution, which gives us the ability to be flexible across many platforms so we can do cool stuff, right?
Exactly.
This is kind of the stuff that we've been talking about, Dan, you and I, for years in the enterprise space, right? I still laugh to this day where the look I got when I asked Google guys when they were showing me Android XR, I was like, cool, can I put this on my old HTC XR Elite? Can I like upgrade old hardware because, theoretically it can work.
No, Mark.
But
it's got Gemini embedded.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
But
you don't have any friends? We'll give you one, Mark.
We'll give you one. A virtual assistant to help you with your corporate day. Lovely.
Yeah. And then tell Google everything you said the whole goddamn day. No thanks.
It's going to be on my phone. It's going to be on my headset. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Dude, the amount of hacking I had to do on my browser to get rid of Gemini, I still don't think I got rid of it. I have Google Workplace for my business.
Everywhere.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's down
if
in
anyone
the
from
kernel.
Google's listening, Google Workplace is great. But I didn't ask for any of this Gemini stuff, and you're raising my rate for stuff that I don't even want to use. And I have to go through Chrome flags and deactivate all this crap that I do not want. Okay, hey, quick story. So there's the XR policy conference in September. I went to it, and there's lovely people up on the stage. One of them's from Google, and I tried to explain to this lovely lady from Google, the government will not use your headset if it has Gemini. And she looked shocked. I'm sorry, but the government tries to keep secrets. So why would they use a headset that is watching and listening to everything that you do and then comprises it into a summary and then hands it to somebody else? It seemed like it didn't dawn on her. And if you want to make somebody squirm, ask them how to take the AI off the device.
Mm-hmm.
They typically have no answer. They're like, what do you mean you're taking the AI off? It's like ordering a chicken sandwich without mayo. It's like, yes, I don't want mayo on my chicken sandwich.
Or the question of, can I put my specific AI service onto the device?
Yeah, that's
right?
even better.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the one that's Stump the Chump right now with all the product people right now. You can stump the chump with that. So can I not use Gemini? Can I use my corporate Copilot instead?
Mm-hmm. The one I own is offline and
does that.
Yeah, because they spent so much time building their own models rather than let's build one model. But you're going to see it happen over the next couple months with the auto industry. I mean, with the new AI protocols that are being forced on auto vehicles for all 2027 and moving forward is really going to have an impact. Knowing that your car, because it senses that you're tired, the AI in your car can decide, you know what, I'm just going to turn off.
Yeah. And my next
You know,
car will be a used 2013 Toyota.
Nice.
Even if my company takes off and I become a millionaire, which I'm not really that interested in, I just don't have to worry about the bills. But even then, I'm going to get an older car. You know,
I want a 1950s truck.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
it.
the kind where you can pop the hood and actually get your elbows in there to fix
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yep,
you know, where
that's
the
exactly
engine
right.
doesn't take up the entire space
yeah.
and the entire truck is built out of pure steel.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, I know exactly what you're talking
It
about.
will survive everything but deep water.
Gene wants to be the only guy driving when the EMP hits. He wants to be out there rolling.
Oh, you know what? If I could have a Flintstone truck, I would do it. I think it'd be fantastic. I see nothing wrong with it.
Hey, could I talk about my origin story?
Do it.
Yeah, we
Oh,
need to finish
This is a
that.
good one.
Yeah.
This is a good one.
Absolutely. Every good hero or villain needs an origin story.
Which is
so
Dan, or is it both?
You all remember Cymatic Bruce? Did you ever listen to his podcast? Ever?
Cymatic
You heard of
Bruce.
Cymatic Bruce?
No.
He was one of the great heralds of XR when the Renaissance happened. So he would have a nightly podcast where or live stream where he had like a Notepad where he would go through all the different Unity apps, which he would just load up. Oh, imagine just loading a thing on your computer and then starting it. Wow, Meta. That's even before I was talking about side loading with Google. But yeah, so what he would do is he would just start a Unity app and then he would play it and you would get to see what he was doing. And then he loaded up this thing called Janus VR. And when it opened up, it had janusvr.com. It was actually the web page turned into a 3D environment. And you could see the look on Cymatic Bruce's eyes as he was like, whoa, this is a web page. And then he clicks on a portal and then he walks into another web page. I'm like right there with him. I'm just like, whoa, you're walking in a web page. Crazy. Fast forward, I'm looking into this Janus VR and I go into a tutorial that explains in a museum how to build content for Janus VR. Like totally recursive. It was amazing. Like it's going step 1, you can get SketchUp and you can build a model. Step 2, get to your web hosting and put these things in HTML. Step 3, and then like step 4 at the end, there's this beautiful atrium with a statue, waiting in this garden. And you're like, wow, that is amazing. The final part of it was once I was inside Janus VR, I saw that they turned on multiplayer. So James McRae, the guy that he was a one-man shop for the first few years. This was the moment he got DK1 working, was when I saw his head move. Now I'd played online games for like 10 years, where I'm first-person shooters, all that stuff. It was the first time I felt like I was somewhere with another human being, because I saw all the subtle movements of that blockhead moving around, and I was like, that is somebody putting on a headset and looking around and looking at me. I was hooked, absolutely hooked, and I'm still hooked. Hell, I made my business around it. So what amazing stuff. All in the browser.
Pretty cool. So walls really are just a cultural construct.
Yeah, man, they're just holding us up or keeping us down, or maybe
Keeping
both
us
at the
down.
same
Repressing
time.
us, man. Repressing us.
You know what? It's just walls. Where we're going, we don't need walls.
We don't need. Oh, the cut. There it is. The cut.
Oh, wow.
The neon protocol cut.
If only Doc Brown could join the call.
No walls, man. No walls.
Quote cards, Gene. Quote cards.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I just wanted to share that story because, man, it's just the
story.
wonder that I have with this technology, and why I'm so passionate about it, because it's the magic of that stuff. It just keeps bringing me back to things, even though I see stuff daily that just ticks me off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, there's still something here, something worth fighting for. Yeah.
Oh, completely agree. It's one of those it's like Stockholm syndrome of a career. That's how I've often heard it explained. Because every day it kind of hurts you, but yet you believe in it so much. I mean, like one of the things I've been harping on a lot lately, and this kind of getting to a circle back to something the company you were talking about, but is, as these companies that are finding their solution, but because of AI, they're changing so rapidly. And we're seeing this change so much that collateral damage is becoming too hard to ignore. And what I mean by that is, just within the recent past couple days with the Meta announcements, that you have somebody coming out announcing that they shouldn't have laid off 6,000 people. And it was just a couple months ago, and it's that as we're seeing people wanting to embrace this, I feel like there was a very quick jump that people are now regretting.
Yeah.
You
You're
know,
right.
and
And XR is very future forward. And it seems like the politics kind of lines with the future forward too sometimes, but you kind of have to be grounded in who you are and where you came from in order to do it right. I think.
You guys
Yeah,
sound like Jerome Larson at this point, man. You ever hear the boss from SoCal, UCLA? Yeah, Jerome
yeah.
Larson. It's there.
But by the way, did you know that this whole time you've been talking to me in WebXR?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
No,
very
I didn't know
nice.
that.
Here I am.
I'm not. Oh, hey.
There he is. What's up, dude?
There he
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's me, myself, and I.
All right,
Um,
for those of you that are not able to see what we're seeing, all I can do is describe it as the uncanny valley come to life.
There are 2 Meeks in this video.
Yes. There are 2 Dans.
Imagine if you will.
No, shoot him. He's
Position
the
yourself
imposter.
like one of those old. You got to position it like the Sears portrait studio, like the old portrait.
Yeah.
I
I got to do the whole looking off in the distance and.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I wonder if I could do that with
Napoleon
OBS
Dynamite.
and like blend it out, but yeah.
And what's great is I'm going to extract screenshots out of this.
Awesome.
Well, this is that perfect.
Well, yeah,
Please.
we have a video track recording. We just don't use it.
That's right.
Yeah, so this is office hours, and the whole idea is that you can turn yourself into a plane and fly around my room and shoot stuff. So yeah,
And fly over your cat.
Mhm.
That's absolutely awesome.
yeah. So here I am shooting missiles, and I'll fly to my
Oh,
guy showing up
sweet.
yet?
Not yet. You're around the wall there.
I don't know
I
why
see the
my plane's
projectile
not showing up.
tracing.
But
And Tracer.
I see the tracer
yeah,
rounds.
it's the rocket behind the thing. I don't know why the thing didn't load. That's fine. I'll turn in my creepy self again.
For those of you that are not able to watch, I could go ahead and describe it, but you know what? You don't need to hear it.
You don't-
Yeah, I won't even do it justice.
Just
It's-
trust us.
This is
Yeah.
good audio content.
Exactly.
Theater of the
Reach
mind.
out to Dan.
yes.
Dan
Theater
can
of
meet
the
you there.
mind.
Dan can meet you there. That's right.
Anyways, so so I guess
Yeah, get us back on track, Gene. What-
absolutely.
Yeah, it's
so
your job. Let's go.
Hey, you know what? I
chop.
am it's only as good as those behind me.
That works for
Anyways.
Dan because his virtual self is behind him
Yep.
right
can
now
rely
on
on
the
myself.
screen.
You can rely.
Yeah, all I have behind me is Star Wars toys. All right. So now, Dan, so in talking about what, kind of your start in your origin story, I love the way you put that. That's awesome. So now what led you into Defiant XR and into really the solution, and where do you see your solution? I guess, where do you see the landscape going over the next little bit? I know we've kind of touched on it, but I guess I'm looking at more as, like different use cases that you see coming to fruition.
I see a lot more of what's called in simulation live virtual constructive. So it's a little odd that I'm hearing all the spatial talk and everything, and it's like, well, we've already kind of been doing that in the military for like 20 years. Um, One way that we do it is we'll hang a certain kind of pod on an aircraft, and it beams its telemetry down to a ground station and then plugs it into a simulator. So you could fly with simulators with real aircraft. So the idea is that you have the live aircraft flying, you have virtual, which is kind of a sliding scale. It's typically guys in simulators, and then constructive, which is the product that I used to work on, which is where you have agents essentially, to use the common parlance now. But you had kind of this artificial intelligence that is running according to programs that you set. Um, and the combination of all three of those, live, virtual, constructive, is a great way to do training. So what I see in the future, and it's stuff that I'm working on right now, and I'm hoping that I'll get to the next level of what I want to do, um, is being able to just um, whip out your phone or headset at a location, get your geolocation, localize yourself using whatever kind of VPS you want to use, and look up and see what is in Mace. So see what is in the simulator flying overhead. What I've seen in military training is that if they're doing live training, they'll go out to the range and they'll pretend a lot. They'll say, "Oh yeah, the artillery's coming in, and okay, call in the A-10." And the A-10's real, and the A-10's really doing its attack, but everything else is all made up. And they're just pretending. I don't want to pretend anymore. I want to use the simulation. Well, I do want to pretend, but less pretending, more truthiness.
More digital twin, less pretend.
Yeah, I
yeah.
look as I want to bring my imagination out. I want if I go and even I'm like that with kind of going on Mark. I like the digital and functional twins. I like being able to manipulate things. I want to be able to. I want to be into the environment. And in fact, last time when we had Dax on, we were actually talking about the potential of this type of technology beyond military application being used for like autistic people on the spectrum, so that way they can experience a store before they actually go into it.
I listened to the podcast, the TSA preview, beforehand to know, hey, this is what's going to happen. Absolutely, yeah. So I see that space, and we already see things like Anduril and Rivet out there in DigiLens. There's all these companies that are making additive displays that'll work outside outdoors. And if you reference that with some kind of geolocation, hey,
There it is.
yeah.
Well,
Mark's holding one up for those of you who can't see the screen.
Yeah, and well, we've got the Google announcement that Google's back in the business with Unreal. It's going to be run off of all
the damn AI off of it, so I can use it. I'd love to. No, seriously, like it's going to solve a problem. Like I have a potential contract where I can put an AI headset in an airplane for somebody who is not the pilot, because the people that do the pilot stuff, that's Red 6. They're awesome. I want to do it for the guy in the back seat who doesn't need a special headset. He can use something that's off the shelf but safe to fly with. And I wanted to use Aura, but it's like I can't because, Gemini's embedded. It's like, well, thanks. Now I can't use it. Anyway, sorry for getting back on my rant there, but
no, but
Preach
actually
on,
there was
preach on.
No, that's fine. The soapbox should hold for a little bit longer.
Even though I'm stomping up and down on it.
You know what?
I just want an off switch.
You know what? Being a town crier is nothing to joke about. But you did mention something I want to go back to, just kind of explain a little bit more about Mace. So I know you've mentioned Mace a couple of times, and for some of us, like
Sure.
If it's a military term, I'm not familiar with it. So can you go just explain a little bit of that for anybody that may be listening?
Yeah. So it started out, it started out being called Gator, which is a whole nother acronym. And then it was actually a tool that I used when I was an instructor for my students to do what's called a something stone. Keystone. No. Anyway, it was capstone.
Capstone. Yep.
There we go. Yeah. Found it eventually. It was their capstone brief when they were about to graduate from electronic warfare school. So they would actually build the mission out where all the fighters would fly, all the ships, everything, and then they would do the planning, and then they were evaluated on what happened. So they would hit play and fly all the aircraft on their bombing missions and the fighters protecting the AWACS, all that stuff would happen. And you were pretty much evaluated on how well your mission planning would turn out. And see, another thing that we did is we took that software and I flew it on the T-43, and you would put a fictitious S-22 somewhere in Nebraska, and then we would, within whatever kind of air clearance we had, we would defend against this virtual SA-2 with our, big, huge 737. It's kind of hilarious. But so it was this simulation software. The way that I would kind of elevator pitch it is that it's your simulator itself is like Neo, and you're plugged into the Matrix, and Mace is the Matrix. It's providing the friendlies, the enemies, the civilians, what the world is shaped like, where the water is. It's basically the world in which your simulator works in. And so all these simulators that are around the world have Mace providing the environment that they're in.
And how long has that been around, Dan?
Oh, almost like 25 years.
Now, now here's a question that's maybe, but is it solitary, or can these Mace systems, since it's an environment, can
network
one simulator from one base log in with a simulator from another base, and now you have two pilots practicing a mission together?
You got it. They're all networked together. And I tell you, one of my favorite things to do is I get on a virtual private network with one of my old colleagues that's still at Battlespace Simulation. He fires up an ADSB plugin that brings in live air traffic into the simulator. And what Mace will do is it'll fly, because ADSB is just saying the aircraft's here, it's flying at this speed. Aircraft's here, it's flying at this speed. Mace is so good. It's so teeming with all these little mathematical functions. That's just because it's old doesn't mean it's crap. It's full of math. It's dead reckoning between those points and flying the airliner completely straight. So we'll get in both in our XR4s here, which beautiful headset, by the way. We'll get into these things, and we'll fly along airliners and fly with them until they land at SeaTac, and then go find another airliner and then fly with it and escort. It is the most chill thing to do in VR.
Huh.
And to think that's been around, everybody's thinking all this technology is new, when no, we've been doing it for years. It just hasn't caught on. Now, two questions.
Well, it's caught on. It's just not widely advertised. That's the thing.
Yeah. Now, but two big questions. One, have you ever designed the plane to be an X-wing fighter? And two, can I come if so?
I need to dig up an old video where I took a Vive controller and made it really gigantic, of like maybe a mile long, and then I played the Imperial March as it was flying over Kabul.
Oh, I want that video.
So I don't have the X-wing, but I do have of a black Vive controller,
pretty good.
Just hovering over the mountains of Afghanistan. Yeah, so I'll make sure you get that video.
It's awesome.
Wow, that's not where I thought you were going with that. That's much better than where I had you going.
Well, talk about digital twins. I'm in my own simulator, which is great. If you go into Mace and you select Civilian Dan, you'll see a Ready Player Me avatar of me, which is so cool. It's awesome. So whenever I'm building my test missions and everything, I put myself in my front garden so that I can get a good bound of where everything is. It's great.
Now, actually, here's a great question. I'm actually curious about it, because you mentioned I haven't talked to anybody that has had Ready Player Me since Ready Player Me was acquired. And I know Netflix made an announcement. Has that impacted you guys at all whatsoever?
Yep. Actually, getting ready for today, I was running through my WebXR stuff, and for a while they had like a low poly version available, and today it was gone. And I looked at the console and it was throwing errors. So that's where we got this creepy version behind me, because I was like, well, I got to have something loaded. So I found an old GLB file of a scan of me and made that my avatar. So yeah, it impacted me today, where I can't get access. going back to another soapbox.
No,
Right.
go
Building
for it. 'Cause
ecosystems, right? When
yeah.
ecosystems stop, you're the one holding the bill.
Mhm.
And this gets back to the
That's exactly
modular
right.
thing that,
Exactly.
actually what we were talking about. Because, all right, now that with Ready Player Me and you watch these big companies that they're buying these smaller companies either to adopt the software or to shelf the software,
Yeah.
and
There's a
so
competitive advantage, you said, Mark, once upon a time?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
say that a lot. Yep.
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 Next to I
Yep.
told
I
you
don't-
so as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yep.
and now
I
it's
don't miss that.
yeah, so it's and to me that's kind of one of the things, like between, I think Apple and Android have been trying to fight for a solution for it for years. But really it's how can I, like I want to be able to just turn things on or off. It's as simple as
Right.
that. And unfortunately, we never read the fine print to all the rights we give away when we sign up for stuff.
Mhm.
But if people could find that solution to where instead of we're all working adversarial, we're working complementary to each other. All right, you're working on that solution, we'll go work on this solution. And there's nothing wrong with a little competition. I mean, unless you own the product, then there's everything that's wrong with the competition. But from a consumer, hey, consumer, we're going full circle.
Yeah,
I enjoy some competition.
that's one thing that I noticed from the sim industry, when I was a young warthog, was that I would see people that were competitors laughing and joking together at ITSEC because they knew that there was enough food at the trough for both of them to eat.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, cutthroat. It's like, hey, you're going more for that contract. We're going for this contract. Hey, what was it like on your contract? How did the government try to screw
Yep.
you around this time? Or did you finally fix that problem with Windows that we're having? So yeah, there was this cooperative competition that was going on.
And I also
And I
remember
think,
in the DoD, there were teams that would literally share assets between programs because you could.
yeah, totally.
In the end, it's the
Or-
taxpayers' money.
Well, the government will sometimes say, you will work with him. Otherwise, neither of you get this contract. And you may be bitter enemies, but you got to play nice because, the government, well, you guys are paying for it. So yeah, that's how it works.
Nice. All right, so
Different
we
world.
are about at the hour. That hour went
Oh,
fast.
gosh.
So yeah, so we're kind of at the end. So one of the things that we always will tell our guests is well, first, thank you. We just always say thank you. That's just the proper etiquette. But no, seriously, thank you for joining. And if you ever want to join again, or if you have other things that you want to talk about, or if you want to be a part of the Neon Protocol and join, before the call, we were talking, it's kind of the leftover of the old enterprise committee of a couple organizations that we've carried on the
That we
tradition
shall
of
not
having the
name.
conversation.
Yeah.
Due to
So if
branding,
you,
we are not allowed to say fine print
yeah,
found.
Certain side effects may include vomiting,
Yes.
nausea.
Lots of
Well,
vomiting.
I'd
lately.
love to come back because I joined those enterprise committee talks because I just wanted to learn. I shared a lot about my experiences, but I don't know everything, and I need to be shown. So yes, I'd love to come back and just sit in the peanut gallery and
no,
toss maybe only 2 tomatoes, then shut up.
no, absolutely. I just never want to inundate you with a ton of emails, so you start thinking I'm kind of have that stalker quality because I don't. I mean, not to you, I don't. No, I'm teasing. So, but yeah, we'll get you on those. But other than that, one of the things that we like to ask our guests is for a final thought or final protocol of if somebody that's listening, they're either just now getting into the business or maybe they're being part of this collateral damage. What's advice? What's a piece of advice that you could give them that you hold on to?
Find a silverback and listen. Mine is Larry Rosenthal, which politically, we probably would be at each other's throats if we really talked about politics. But when it comes to this field, I listen to every damn word he says,
Nice.
because he's got the scars. And when you start hearing the stories of how some companies have treated him over the years, you wise up pretty quick. So find somebody who's experienced, and don't ask to be mentor and all that stuff. just listen. That's what I would say. If you're trying to get your toe into this industry and figure out what the heck's going on, find somebody that's been in for a while, like Professor Stone, and just listen to what they have to say, and you'll get your bearings really quick.
No, absolutely great
Good
advice.
Yeah, really good advice.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So on that note,
Love it.
we're not going to screw that ending up. So on that, yeah,
We're done.
After I said, listen to wise people, but okay, fine, sure, whatever, man.
Wah.
yeah. No, that was perfect. So, everybody, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. We'll be back next time on Neon Protocol.